Page 17. 3. Listening and strategies. Broad tastes. A. Listen to 3 conversations. Who has broad tastes? Write the name or names. Then listen again and answer the questions below. 1.
Hello?
Hi, Mary. It's me. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm just watching one of those cooking shows. The one with the Japanese chefs. You know, they compete against each other.
Oh, I know. Don't they both have to make something with the same main ingredient?
Yeah, it's a really fun show. They're using salmon today, and they have to make as many dishes as they can in half an hour. It's really interesting. It gets, really intense. You know, there's so much pressure on the chefs. They never have as much time as they need, and...
Interesting. So you're really into cooking?
Oh, yeah, I love it. My grandmother's Japanese, you know, and she always made all these amazing Japanese dishes, and she taught me a lot.
Really? I didn't know that. Now, do you make Japanese food a lot?
Yeah, though I've been pretty busy lately, but you know, I try out new recipes as often as I can.
Now, do you just make Japanese things mainly, or do you cook other things too?
No. I also like to cook Italian food and French. And lately I've started to really get into Indian food. So I'm using all these spices. They have wonderful flavors. I've taken a few classes and I've learned how to combine spices and get the right flavors and stuff. So, yeah.
2.
Hey, Nick, what's this music? It's pretty cool.
Yeah, isn't it great? It's a Brazilian band. I forget the name. Oh, what do you call them? Anyway, they're good. I have music by lots of Brazilian bands. Look.
Wow, you're really into this stuff.
Yeah, my brother got me into it. He's living in Brazil, so he finds all these interesting bands. It's kind of cool. I hear stuff I would never find otherwise.
Right. Now, is this the kind of thing you listen to all the time?
No, I like all kinds of stuff. Rap, hip-hop, rock, jazz, opera, anything really.
You pretty much like everything then.
Yeah, that's probably because when I was a kid, my parents always had music playing and they played all kinds of stuff. So I grew up around music.
That's neat. Now, do you play any instruments?
No, not really. I tried the guitar for a while, but it wasn't as easy as it looks, and I guess I just didn't have the patience or the time for it really.
3.
Hey, James. You look tired.
I am. I was up half the night reading. I'm reading this sci-fi book, and I couldn't put it down. So I was up until 1 or something, just reading.
So you're exhausted.
Yeah, totally. But sometimes you just find a good book like that, and you have to finish it as quickly as you can.
Right. Now, do you read only science fiction, or do you like other stuff too?
Well, actually, that's about all I read these days. I had this roommate a few years ago who read a lot of science fiction, and he lent me some of his books. Since then, I read nothing else. I got hooked.
So you're a big fan. You know, I never really got into science fiction. I guess I don't have much time to read, period. Though when I do read, I like to read biographies, you know, like the life stories of interesting people. I've read a few about politicians and world leaders. They're fascinating.
I find the same thing with sci-fi. It's fascinating to me. I mean, it's the only thing I read, really. Like trying to imagine what the future world will be like. I mean, these stories seem so possible to me. Like they can really happen in the future.
Page 17. 3. Listening and strategies. Broad tastes. B. Now listen to 3 excerpts from the conversations. Circle the best response. 1.
Now, do you just make Japanese things mainly? Or do you cook other things too?
No. I also like to cook Italian food and French. And lately I've started to really get into Indian food. So I'm using all these spices. They have wonderful flavors. I've taken a few classes and I've learned how to combine spices and get the right flavors and stuff. So, yeah.
2.
That's neat. Now, do you play any instruments?
No, not really. I tried the guitar for a while, but it wasn't as easy as it looks, and I guess I just didn't have the patience or the time for it, really.
3.
You know, I never really got into science fiction. I guess I don't have much time to read, period. Though when I do read, I like to read biographies, like the life stories of interesting people. I've read a few about politicians and world leaders. They're fascinating.
I find the same thing with sci-fi. It's fascinating to me. I mean, it's the only thing I read, really. Like trying to imagine what the future world will be like. I mean, these stories seem so possible to me. Like they can really happen in the future.
Page 19. Lesson D. Personal style. 2. Listening and speaking. Keeping up with trends. A and B. Listen to 4 people talk about trends. 1. Maddie.
I have pretty simple tastes, I think. I mean, I'm not really into keeping up with the latest trends or anything. I'm not one of those people that goes through the magazines to see what's in or what next season's stuff is going to be. I definitely don't care as much as my best friend does. She has a closet full of things, and she never wears half of it. I just don't need as many things as she does. I guess I just like basic things, anything that's simple. I mean, you just need a few nice things, don't you think?
2. Frank.
I always feel like I have to have the latest thing. Like when a new model comes out, I think, oh, mine's not as good as that new one. So I go out and buy it. I guess I just won all the latest gear. My best friend can't have things that are as cool as mine. So yeah, I'm one of those crazy people who waits in line for hours to get something on the first day it comes out. And I always get all the cool things that go with them too. Like cases and stuff like that.
3. Laura.
One thing I love to do is look through all the magazines and see what the new styles are. I guess I just like to experiment and try new things. It's fun, to change how you look. So, yeah, I go to this stylist who is really creative. He's always trying interesting cuts and colors on me. Like one time, he colored it in this deep purple. Though that wasn't as fun as the time I went kind of pink. I don't know, I guess I just like variety. It's fun, don't you think?
4. Nate.
I'm pretty much into taking care of how I look. Like, I want to stay healthy and everything, but I don't go to the extreme. Like, I don't follow all the latest trends. I mean, some people I know, they follow the latest diet and they take all these vitamin drinks after they've worked out. But I don't do that. I just want to be as fit as possible. But I don't have to be big and muscular or anything.
Page 22. Unit 3. World Cultures. Lesson A. Traditional things. 1. Getting started. B. Listen. What aspect of their country's culture does each person talk about?
What not to miss. We asked people, what's one thing you shouldn't miss on a visit to South Korea, Minhee Park?
Oh, Korean food! We have so many different dishes. One typical dish is kimbap. It's made with rice and vegetables and wrapped in dried seaweed. And it's eaten cold. It's delicious.
Peru, Elena Camacho.
Well, Peru has some beautiful handicrafts. A lot of them are exported nowadays, and they're sold all over the world. But it's still worth visiting a local market. These earrings are made locally. They're made of silver.
Japan, Sachio Ito.
A Japanese festival, like the Sapporo Ice Festival, that's really worth seeing. It's held every February. They have all these sculptures that are carved out of ice, and they're carved by teens from all over the world. It's amazing.
Australia, Robert Flynn.
Oh, you should go to a performance of traditional Aboriginal music. They play this instrument. It's called a didgeridoo. It's made out of a hollow piece of wood and painted by hand. It makes a really interesting sound.
Page 23. 2. Grammar. The simple present passive. Use the passive when the doer of the action is not known or not important. Active.
How do they make kimbap?
They make it with rice and vegetables.
Passive.
How is kimbap made?
It's made with rice and vegetables.
Active.
Do they eat it hot or cold?
They eat it cold. They don't eat it hot.
Passive.
Is it eaten hot or cold?
It's eaten cold. It's not eaten hot.
Active.
They carved the sculptures out of ice.
Passive.
The sculptures are carved out of ice.
If the doer of the action is important, you can introduce it with by.
The sculptures are carved by teams from all over the world.
Page 23. 3. Speaking naturally. Silent syllables. A. Listen and repeat the words. Notice that the unstressed vowels are not pronounced.
Every.
Different.
Interesting.
Vegetable.
Page 23. 3. Speaking naturally. Silent syllables. B. Listen to people talk about their cities. Cross out the vowel that is not pronounced in the underlined words. Then, read the sentences to a partner. 1. Brock, Switzerland.
We're known for our chocolate, which is sold all over the world. If you're really interested, you can visit a factory to learn about the history of chocolate and how it's made.
2. Coober Pedy, Australia.
The average temperature here in summer is almost 40 degrees Celsius, so it's much cooler to live underground. It's definitely something different for travellers.
3. Akihabara, Japan.
If you want a camera, then you have to shop here. Practically every brand of electronic and computer goods is displayed here.
4. Boyacá, Colombia.
Emeralds are mined all over the world, but our region has some of the best and most valuable stones. They are mostly exported and made into jewelry.